Welcome to a very exciting episode of Pete versus Anxiety. I'm here joined today by Brian Phillips from the band Alive in Stone. Brian, why don't you say hi to everybody?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for
It's so
thanks for
great that
tuning
you're
in.
here. Me and Brian were doing a little chatting before we got on the air here. He was telling me a little about him trying to get out on the road and start touring and stuff. But I'm really excited for you to be here, man. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of people have heard your song "Skin" before on TikTok. She's the Blade is one of his newer songs that they have. You guys any plans for a new album coming out anytime soon?
You guys are going to be getting a new song next Tuesday.
Ooh,
So you're going to be getting the start of what's probably going to be about a 10 or 12 song album cycle.
hey, there we go. That's what I'm
Yep,
talking about. So, Brian, let me ask you a question. This is a mental health podcast. Do you or any of your family members deal with mental health issues?
absolutely. Just 1 second. Let me let let
Yeah,
me
go
let
ahead.
you. Oh boy.
This.
Oh no.
Uh-oh, we have a
My
problem.
no, we're good. My dog Louis wants to leave the room. He wants to go be with his. He wants to be with his
Well,
mom.
I got my
Yeah,
co-host on my right over here, Beauty. So I'm right there with you.
yeah.
So you'll hear somebody
So
clinking around sometimes.
Oh yeah. So you definitely yeah, mental health is something that I think definitely is running my family. My mom, my mom struggled with she was diagnosed with clinical depression and luckily for her, antidepressants helped a lot for her, and she never really had any problems. I went my entire life with not even really knowing that she had depression, because she was unbelievably well composed. She was a nurse for 36 years. She still is one. And there was definitely, it ran in her family. Um, I know I would like to think that I don't really have, I was never diagnosed with any mental condition or anything like that, like going from that to that spectrum, but I can almost guarantee I have some form of depression for
Yeah.
sure. I've had moments in my life where I've definitely struggled with anxiety. Most of these were like, just um, just things that were kind of like storms, like they were just kind of would come and go. And I just think that as the years have progressed, I've just really been able to manage it really well. But I've never really been an anxiety person too much. I think I had it a little bit, but I was more of a depression person in the sense that I would just feel numb, like I
Yeah.
just wouldn't really feel anything
Yeah.
more so than anything. But I mean, I've always just been really happy most of my life. I know that sounds pretty contradictory, but I've been able to manage it just so well. I think that I've just developed so many life practices since I was a kid that really I just didn't know I had anything that, was wrong with me or like anything that was troublesome mentally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
deal with
mean,
anxiety myself, man. And it's
sure.
sometimes it's rough, man. Like
Yeah.
my brain likes to invent things that aren't there sometimes, and I'll start going into panic attacks. And I've had a couple panic attacks before when I've been at work, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden people ask you what's wrong, and it's like you don't want to tell anybody because they don't know how to handle it, or they'll start
Yeah.
freaking out, and they'll make the situation worse. So I mean, I get that completely.
Yeah, that's totally right, and I think my brother's an internet poker player. He's played professionally for a long time, and recently had some issues going on where he was kind of burned out, and those things kind of throw off your brain chemicals and stuff. So he had to do some healing with that. But yeah, man, I remember when I was in college, I used to study for the test to the point where would get ready for the test 3 weeks before I'd have to take the test. So if I have a panic attack, I was so good I could just see it and go like circle the answers if it
Yeah,
happened. But I actually have never really had a panic attack. I've always been like on the verge and was able to somehow just kind of put it down. Like I was able to self
yeah,
soothe. But oh man, like you think like you're having a stroke or something. It's fucking
yeah,
mental.
definitely.
It's
Exactly what it
crazy.
feels like.
Most of them have been like I like as a kid I was exposed to marijuana pretty early. Don't get me wrong, I don't use any drugs at all now, but like I never really did anything harder than weed. But like
Yeah,
I know that seems so un rock and roll, right? I know that I had like a depersonalization kind of derealization thing that would happen to me, or like I would deal with OCD like
yeah,
weeks after weeks after stopping using marijuana. Like, and I would, and even there were some really pleasant times when I'd smoked weed when I was super young, like 11 and 12 years old, and it was really pleasant. But then there was some times where I had I didn't know what anxiety was. Like, I didn't know what that kind of fear was, and it unlocked something in my brain where I was just like, it's kind of stayed there a little bit after, and there was just like this gradual like there was times where I'd still feel high. It's so weird, but like that went away. But like,
you know how I describe it though, Brian? I describe it as like you ever seen that movie Get Out? I describe it as like you're sitting there, the guy in the chair at the end of the movie is like sitting there in the chair, he's looking up, and it's like you can see everything going on, but you can't stop it as it's about to happen. Like reality's here, and it's just a big dark room, and you can't stop everything, and it feels like the walls are closing in on you. And it's like that's when that feeling of panic starts coming over you, because it's like it's coming, and you're afraid it's coming, and you don't know how to stop it. But all you can do is sit there and watch, and you can see reality just going by as it starts happening. And that's how I describe it to people when it happens for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like totally. I think it's like it's just like you say, it's like being locked in a room and you're being told things in your mind that aren't true, and it seems so real. And yeah, it's luckily I've been more of a type B kind of person, and it just I've been able to just, I guess, calm it down. Some people it's way worse than others. Like,
it's got to be kind of bad though sometimes. When, like, if you get on stage, man, I could just imagine what it's like getting in front of all those people and having to play, and it's got to be a rush. And then at the same time, man, you got to be like nervous as hell before you get out there. Is that the kind of feeling you get prior to that?
So yeah, definitely for me, I was an athlete in high school, and most of my life I played football. I was a linebacker in high school, and I was scared every game. I was terrified every game, but I think that at that point that I would learn how to play with it, and I would learn how to deal with it. And one of the like, I know I'm kind of getting off. I don't mean to digress too much, but
no, you're fine. Go right ahead.
Like it'll lead into this, but like for me, one of the biggest breakthroughs with me was my junior year. It was my first year on varsity, and we were playing a preseason game. And the whole time I'm playing the game, my brain's telling me, you're not cut out for this. 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 Quit now. Quit. And I'm just dealing with this shit, and I'm having to just go through this game. And I remember I was just like, just don't quit. Just keep going forward. And then I'll never forget, like 3 minutes before the second quarter is over, the hole opens up and I'm on a blitz, and I just get a quarterback sack, and everything changed. And it was kind of that moment when I realized your brain can tell you something, but what's happening outside is what matters.
Exactly.
Right? And so with music, that kind of prepared me. Like, I didn't get into music heavily till much later in life, but even when I take the stage, there's always fear, especially in the beginning, for sure. And especially, I struggled with my voice for years, and there's always that fear: is it going to work this time? And I think I've always been able to just go on autopilot and get through it. But even now there's a lot more of a handle on it. It's a lot more of an enjoyable process. And actually, I think as I get older and more into music and have been doing it, I enjoy it, and it becomes that rush, and I can just get into it and get into the music and not think so much more now. Right. And it's just this amazing experience, Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, I agree, man. Like, I use music sometimes to calm me down in moments where I'm just kind of like, I need to start zoning out. I'll pop something in, and I'll just turn on whatever on the playlist. I know I've added you guys to my playlist and a bunch of other bands I found recently, but like my usual go-tos are like Cold, Papa Roach, Stain, some of those other ones like that. What are some of your guys' musical influences?
For me, like I'm a lot like you. Like, I grew up in the aughts. I was a teenager in the 2000s. I grew up, I was probably 10 years old when Hybrid Theory came out in 2000. I loved Break the Cycle by Staind.
Oh my God, yes.
That, when I was dealing with that whole thing, with the whole weed thing, and like really feeling fucked up and stuff, that album got me through it, because I felt it was the first time I heard someone that was as scared and depressed as I was Aaron Lewis. And that album cover was what my mind looked like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, it makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, like I the first band that I ever really, there was always music in my house, but
Yeah.
the first band that ever really like made me pay attention to music was Orgy.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Loved them.
There you go.
And then came, of course, Linkin Park. Um, Linkin Park's a huge influence, mostly pre Meteora Linkin
Yeah.
Park. But I loved a lot of big influences: Breaking Benjamin, Tool.
Yeah.
You know, Seven Dust was a big one.
Oh my God, I love Seven Dust.
Chevelle's a massive one.
Yeah.
And then Tool, of course, and Alice in Chains, and just the standards for that era. But I also was really into Filter, and I really loved Scrape and like Stereo Mud and those really like Snot, those really deep, like a lot of the vocal style that I enjoy is like Lynn Strait, Rob Zombie, Richard Patrick, you know, Chester Bennington, Billy Keaton from Scrape, like those guys.
I do hear Linkin Park influences on Skin when you sing it, kind of like
the
high pitched, like Linkin Park, kind of like Chester had that voice, you know. And like I said, when you said Break the Cycle, I was like, oh yes, this man understands me.
And then like I would say Doug's a little bit of a more seasoned guy. He grew up on like, you know, like Anthrax, you know, Deep Purple. He loves Tool. Matt brings more of the hair metal component because he loved Ozzy. He was a huge Zakk Wylde fan, but also loved the 2000 sound a lot, and you know, loves, you know, a lot of those soloists, like, you know, he brings like a Tom Morello type meets like Zakk Wylde type solos. He brings that like super edgy, I think, glam vibe to the band. And then Herman's a pure, he loves everything. Like he loves soul, he loves rap, everything. But he's more of like that 2000s type. But I would say as my time has progressed, I've been way into a lot of different styles: metalcore, industrial, new wave. Like I have a huge range of influences. Sade, I love Gap Band, like 70s disco. I like all that stuff. I'm not a huge country fan, but I respect it. And there's some artists
I'm not either a big country fan. My wife is, but she's getting me turned on to some stuff. I do like some of the stuff Post Malone's doing with, you know, all them and stuff like that. And she's always playing me different stuff. And I start finding things I like a lot of them are really good. After a while, I start hearing them like, I've never heard this song before. Oh yeah, this is so and so. But she listens to a lot of that R&B, and she'll throw you off sometimes. And then she'll put on like Korn, and I'm like, oh whoa, hold up,
love
what is this?
Korn.
What is this?
Yeah,
God, I love Jonathan Davis, phenomenal. I love, like I said, I was big into Cold though, and they kind of
love Cold.
Oh my God, Jeremy was amazing. I think their last album, you know, A Different Kind of Pain was, oh man, that was a rough song to listen to. That 12-minute long song that he did for that fan. Holy crap, dude. Like, let me tell you, that one puts you in touch with your feelings real fast when you listen to that one too.
That's
so, but I listen to a lot of stuff like it's like that. And then my brother was a big influence for me though too, because he was bigger into music because I was like 10. He had this monster CD collection. And I would always go digging through and checking out some of his stuff. And that's how I found Seven Dust. And I love Seven Dust.
Yeah.
It was one of those bands that stuck with me forever.
Yeah. Animosity's without question my favorite record of all time.
Yes.
After that, Seasons was pretty cool. But I would say like after
I think
that,
Unforgiven was pretty good too. Their album had a little more edge to it now. I'm trying to think also. I did a lot of other things. So I did like Blink-182 and stuff. So I did a lot of punk rock influences. I was, you know, one of my girlfriends at the time was big into it, so I was big into it with her, and I was starting to discover a lot of that stuff. So I listen to everything. I'll listen to some rap. I'll listen to some country here and there now because my wife's influenced me on that one. I listen to pretty much everything else I listed, all that other stuff, and then I listened to a lot of punk rock as well. So Rise Against is one of my top favorites. Oh, I love that band so much.
How deep do we go into the punk rock?
Let's see: Smoker Fire, NoFX, Anti-Flag,
nice.
Less Than Jake, Pennywise. Yeah.
Oh, so you like a little bit of hardcore with Pennywise? That's
cool. Yeah. Well, I had a friend that was big into. Like I said, a lot of these music influence I had were people that I met that have listened to these types of things, and I was cruising through stuff, and that's how I discovered Rise Against, and it was the Siren of Culture Soul. That one was their first album I've ever heard by them. And, you know, I found out that they were from the Chicagoland area because of the interview Give It All is done in the subway train in Chicago, I believe is where they did it at. Because like Disturbed and stuff was big for us too, because they were so local at the time when I was growing up. You know, Ozfest was still around, so you had Ozzy, Marilyn Manson, all them stuff like that. You know, I've had a lot of influences. But my favorite punk rock album of all time would be Rise Against, The Suffer and The Witness, or is it The Witness, The Suffer, whichever way it goes. Can listen to that album nonstop, back and forth all day.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like there was definitely a time in my life where I got not so much into like the skate. I like Bad Religion and like The Offspring and like a lot of the skate.
Oh my
Like I
god,
love
Offspring's great.
NoFX. Like I like the skate punk, but I was really attracted to the hardcore. Like I like
Yeah.
bands like Combat Kid and like got into like um, who else? There's a band called Stick to Your Guns that is a borderline hardcore band. There was another one, 100th. I was into Terror. I mean, I really like the whole positive mental attitude, like ethos is just really cool to me.
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
love that. So I love it. It's great.
Yeah, you know, and it was like I said, I pretty much have like a mixture of stuff I listen to. My playlist now consists of anything. Like I've got a lot of MGK now that he's doing more pop punk stuff. I like his
MGK is
stuff
pretty cool.
definitely.
Yeah, I
Um,
love MGK.
yeah, I've been finding a couple other bands here and there. I found one called Pretty Suspect that's pretty good. That has a really good sound to them. And they're so
Do you mean Highly Suspect?
no Pretty Suspect. They're
Pretty
actually that's
Suspect.
their name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll have to shoot you
Wow.
the page. I'll shoot you their page on TikTok. I think you're the one, Brian. You're the one I'm talking to on TikTok. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was like, it's nice to put
100%
a
of the
face
time.
to the person I'm talking to half the time. But yeah, I'll send it to you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I love MG. I always liked MGK. Like rapping, I always thought he was just he was amazing. Like
Yeah.
he was great.
Yeah, you know,
And
and
then
I wasn't a big Eminem fan. I could respect what he does, you know. I mean, he's been around forever. He's changed how we look at all that kind of stuff, and brought different people into it, you know. So when they had the whole beef thing, it was just like, you know, to me, it's just like they're just trying to hype each other up, basically, at that point, you know. Because they really, at the end of the day, both of them say the same thing. They're both like, oh, you know, oh, okay, whatever. So, you know, we always had those kind of things like Biggie and all them had those and stuff like that. My wife listens a lot of that too. So I listen to a lot of rap because of her and, you know, stuff like that as we go. So,
yeah,
but
man.
yeah, it's always been music's always been a big part of my life. It helps, you know. I know my wife resonates with it too when she's having a bad day. Sometimes she'll just turn on some music and sing it out loud. And
It's a drug, man.
it's addictive, man. It really is. It
It's a
really
drug.
is.
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
that's the whole reason I started this podcast too, is man, is to get the voice out there that the mental health isn't talked about enough, man. Like people don't talk about it enough, and they all say they do, but then it's like they make these little click videos, oh, it's so great, and then after that, it's just like everything's gone, and people stop the conversation when we the people that deal with it, it don't go away for us. It's still there every day that we deal with it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that you just have to adopt certain lifestyle choices. I think that you have to. One of the things that can help, I think, is not surrounding yourself with people that are toxic and want to bring you
Exactly.
down, and just also learning how to compartmentalize at times. I think helped me, and yeah, it's something that I think it's mental health is something that I think is a lot like physical health, or like, just you're getting blood work. There's a maintenance level that has to go with you physically making
Yeah.
sure your bones and your muscles are strong and you're eating the right things, and then there's the mental side, which is, you have to condition that as well,
Yeah, you know,
because all
identify when
sorts
there's
of
problems and things like that. Like any other
absolutely
health kind of thing you would do, you know, stuff like that. And it's just
absolutely,
crazy,
man.
man. Like I don't think people talk about it enough. And when they say they do it, it's like they're always like, oh no, medication will fix this. Well, medication doesn't work for everybody. That's the problem. You can't throw medication at everything and expect it to fix the problem.
I
And I
agree
think
with
that's
you.
one of the big stigmas that you hear from a lot of people, or they say that, hey, I can't talk to you because you think I'm crazy. I'm like, you're not crazy because you have problems. You and I can both can admit to that too. We're not
Mm,
crazy. We're two normal people here,
no.
you know, having a conversation about it. And you know, I think that's the problem people have is they believe too much of this false narrative of things like that and stuff like that are going on. So
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that everyone, some people have much more, much more of an impact with their mental health. Their mental health takes them to a way darker and deeper place. It's more of an issue. It's more of it's more of I would say that it gets pushed past a certain not spectrum, but like past a certain threshold where it's a real diagnosis. But for most of us, it's like we have these storms that come in, and it's like they come in and they push us to these certain parts of the spectrum, and I don't think I think that most of the mental health that we face as a society can definitely be helped in a multitude of interventions. And
I think so too, man. It's
yeah,
just people
it
need to
can be
start having the
helped.
conversation.
Oh yeah,
There's
totally.
always like all the different numbers now, like 988, the suicide prevention hotline number, in case anybody ever needs
Absolutely.
it, kind of thing. I know they shortened it up. When I had done a pre-record with one woman, she's been a counselor for like 13 plus years. She said they changed it up because in the situation you need help, you're not going to want to dial 1-800 number. It's going to take you forever to dial the numbers. That's why they switched it to 988 because it made so much sense doing it. So and
Definitely.
like I said, man, the great thing about this whole podcast is like just to get people's story out there, interact with different people such as yourself, and I'm sure you hear all the time people say your music helps them get through their day. And if they're having a rough day, they pop you on and it has to feel good, man, when you hear people say that. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a good, we have a good, fan multiple times. Yeah, it's happened. We have a fan that's currently going through a pretty hard death in the family. And, um, you know, uh, the tracks and the music, she talks about how the tracks and the music and just talking kind of helps. And, there's a lot of other fans that we've had that have had really, really rough times with mental health, and the music really comforts them. And I think that when you can help people not only combat, it's almost like music is like this auditory battle axe that you can pick
Mm-hmm.
up and fight against whatever's around you. And if it lifts you up to become something bigger than what you were meant to be, I think that's what makes music worth doing, is being able to comfort people and also making them make a run at their demons, and,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
cut through them.
Yeah.
I want to empower people to be as strong and to believe, I want them to literally believe that they're capable of more than they can ever imagine that they're
It,
capable of.
No, man, I agree completely with you on that one, man. That's awesome that's how you feel about it, because like I said, it influences a lot of us every day, man. Like you don't even know. Like I have these songs that we listen to nowadays, man. You're having a bad day, you put on that playlist, and it just hits, man. And you're just sitting there and you're vibing
Yeah,
to it, and it uplifts your spirit. And most days it really, really helps out a lot of people too.
yeah,
So
definitely, man. I'm glad you've enjoyed everything so far. It's a big compliment to us, and like I said before, we're super happy to be able to be on this
yeah,
show.
definitely, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming. Like I know.
Yeah,
I honestly, to be honest with you, with the whole this conversation started, dude, I didn't even think you were going to even respond. Honestly, like I've sent out messages to people all the time, and I've
yeah,
gotten like 4 responses back. But I mean, I'm in this area where it's like I'm still learning. I'm still new to this. I've been a year into this. This whole thing started as an idea in August, man, and it's blown up from here. Like it's gone off, like way
that's
faster than I could
awesome.
anticipate it. So, but I mean, it does say something though. It says that the conversation needs to be had. So, and the nice thing is that we get people like yourself coming here and sharing your opinions of things and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we have that young lady in the comments, Elizabeth, who's been a big supporter of yours. She was excited for you guys to come on and everything too. So I know she's over here talking to us.
It's
So hi,
awesome.
Liz, how you doing? So, but yeah, and it's great, man. I get to meet new people every day and things like that, and stuff. I've got a bestseller author coming up next week, and it's like if I go to sat here and told you a year ago this is what I've been doing, I wouldn't even believe it myself. Because
Yeah.
this is just it's great, man. I get to meet new people every day, get to talk about different stuff, and a lot of people when they feel like they're being heard, it makes a major difference. Like
Oh
and that's
yeah.
all it takes. Like they don't want anything else. They don't need advice. They just want to be heard. That's a lot of times what it is. And the fact you're taking
Yeah.
time out of your guys' schedule to come talk to us is great, man. I know people appreciate it. Really, they do.
Of course, man. Yeah, I love these things. We as a band, we love them. It sucks I couldn't get everybody here, but that's just kind of how it goes
Yeah,
sometimes.
oh yeah, that makes sense. So I
But
mean,
but yeah, man, like I would say that you know, it's one of those things where it's like I love getting on here and like just talking with people that are interested and then are brought together through this, and it's like a big connection thing for me, and it's really fun, and I love the whole connection component with music where you get to meet people you've never met before and be
yeah,
able to talk about things that you both share and hopefully make their day a better place, and it makes my day a better place as well. So I love these interviews. These are awesome.
Yeah,
Super
man.
cool.
And like I said, like Elizabeth saying here, she says that she appreciates the fact that you message too.
No, of
Listen, he
course.
messages me too, guys. So don't worry. Listen, me and him back and forth message all the
Yeah.
time. So
Oh
he
yeah.
takes time. He'll comment to your posts and things like that. So if you ever see one of his videos, drop him a message, man. Brian will hit you back. Don't worry. He'll get back
Oh
to you
yeah.
eventually, but he'll hit you for sure.
Yeah. Unless you're a bot, and then I'm just gonna be like,
Yeah,
ugh.
right. Like, hey, what are you doing? You're like, I don't know. What am I doing right now? Or like, I
Yeah.
get those all the time too. Or those people trying to tell
Yeah.
me they're going to promote my podcast for money. It's like, well, I want to see some
Mm,
results before I pay you. This is kind of how it works. Like, I don't just pay you to go do nothing.
crazy. Yeah. It's unfortunately it's the I guess it's the other edge of the sword where social media is this great thing where we get to communicate, but then there's a bunch of scumbags that want to come
Yeah.
on there and try to mess with you. So
I couldn't say that any better myself than
yeah,
what you just said there, man.
it
Because
sucks.
you got to remember that back in the time, it was, we used to have the phone and that was it. And then when they introduced AOL and everything else, that's when we started getting more access from complete weirdos. And
Yeah.
then you had the whole Napster saga where, Metallica sued Napster because they were stealing their music. I'm like, but that's their music. Like, people don't understand that. Like, that's something they worked hard on. And like, you could have don't understand that completely. Like, somebody stealing your
Yeah.
music, it's like, yo, that's my hard work. I just did. You're just taking it and you're not doing anything with it. You're just taking it for free. And
Yeah.
it's not what it's like. And then they were looked at be as like the evil ones. I'm like, no, they weren't. They're fighting for their
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely had total reason to feel the way that they felt, and I think that another thing to consider is what goes on off the stage. Like everywhere James Hetfield goes, or Kirk Hammett goes, or Newstead goes, or
Yeah.
Trujillo goes, or Art Lars goes, they're going to get recognized. Their lives are never going to be the same again. And
Yeah.
it's like, and they're in the studio for hours, and there's fights, and then there's miles and miles they travel on the road, and they never get to see their families, and there's all those other things, and it's like, then and it's like you're trying to get this
It's basically a
compensation
juggling
for
act.
that, and it's like, yeah, it's everything is for that music, and there's so much sacrifice that goes into it. So I know the way they felt for sure.
Yeah.
And so now that the streaming world has developed and now we can get artists paid for streaming, I have a
Yeah.
little bit more of a holistic approach to the whole streaming thing. I just see it as if anything, is a positive thing, because your music is available all around the world, and
Exactly.
you can message a guy like me, or I can message a person like you anytime
Yeah.
I want, and I have access to anywhere. And it's like,
Yeah,
they,
and then you go to get those troll messages. Oh, we don't like your music. Well, don't listen to it then. End of discussion. Okay.
they honestly, I always say
God.
to them, like, we love you anyway. The door is
Yeah,
always open. You can always come back.
exactly. Like if that's my thing
Just,
too. It's like
you might come back.
I did that one point, man. I'm not gonna lie. I had this TikTok account where I was just battling trolls just for no reason, and I was just
Yeah,
like, it just wasn't worth it, honestly.
yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
eventually got banned because I kept commenting back to them, and it was just like, no, I
Yeah,
decided not to do that anymore. It's like,
yeah.
no. And this is
It's
way before I started this whole podcast thing, because I had one before this I did just for fun for a little bit.
mhm.
It was all good and fun. And then it's like, yeah, I want to switch it to something else, a little more control. So that's how Pete versus Anxiety has been born from there. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Hate posts are great because we know how good the content's doing. If there's
exactly.
a few hate posts, like it's like every day someone comes on there and just like hard pass, or like, you sound like everybody else, or like, this is a fucking rip off of this. And it's like,
Well, what they say, listen, wait, okay. So
walls
now you
off.
said that it's a ripoff. Now let's talk about that real fast.
Mm,
Everybody sounds like somebody. Yes, because somebody was there before them. Yeah. Okay. Well, they sound like these guys. Yeah. Well, then maybe they're influenced by those guys. I mean, hello. That's their biggest argument is, oh, well, you're ripping off somebody else. Not
yeah.
really. If I'm mimicking them, that's the best form of flattery. Technically, they probably don't have a problem with it either. They probably don't know who I
Oh
am
yeah.
at this moment. So they're just
If
happy
you,
somebody's enjoying it.
absolutely, if you think the music you listen to, I don't care how great it is, came out of thin air, then you should and that person didn't rip someone off or rip off multiple bands, you should probably start listening to music. Because I think somebody said this. They said, how do you get your own sound? there's a saying, it's rip off one artist, you're a thief. Rip off 20, you're original, or something like that. Originality doesn't exist in music. It's something that I think people need to just get over. And it's not. I get it. Like, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
If you think it comes out of thin air, it doesn't. Imitation at first is one of the greatest ways that you can. You know, reverse engineering a song and looking at why it makes it great is some of the greatest things that you can do to become a better songwriter.
Exactly.
So it all comes from somewhere.
Exactly.
And the trick is to take all of those influences, it's to listen to music and see, what do I want in it? What do I don't like in it? And try to make all of those things that you love, no matter what the genre is, work in a song.
Yeah.
And I think that's original. And being true to what you want to hear, not what everyone else wants to hear.
So, now that we talked our mental health, let's get into the nitty gritty, man. When did the band start exactly?
So the band started releasing so the band started how do I word this?
Were you guys a garage band at first, like a lot of bands were?
So I was in another band till about 2021-ish, 2020-ish. Yeah, 2021. I was another band, and pretty much knew that this band wasn't going to be the band that was going to be it for me. I didn't really think I'd ever be able to reach my goals or potential in this group. And I knew I needed my own thing. So I broke up with that band and left that group. And immediately, I had already been writing for this project. I knew that I wanted to be the visionary of what I was creating. And so I wrote, I worked with, have you ever heard of a band called Red Sun Rising?
I think I have, yes.
The lead singer of that band is a guy named Mike Prodich. He's the singer of that band. He's in a band now called The Violent. They just put out a song. It was around COVID, and he was gracious enough. I guess he was, I had met him once and, had, touched base with him, but like I was asking him for advice, and it spiraled into, hey, you can pay me to help write songs with you. And so I was working with him writing songs, and he helped me write like 6 songs for this project at first. And I was recording them with Andy Karpovic, who's from Orlando, Florida, and recorded all the songs, and then started looking for guys, and then released the first one in 2022 in May. And so that took me about 9 months, and then got all my guys, and then we eventually shifted to Dylan Herzog, who is our producer now, and that changed our sound dramatically. But that's kind of how the band was formed. I had known Matt, who's our guitarist, from like a chance encounter like years ago. Out of the blue, I just messaged him and said, hey, you think you'd like this? You seem like a pretty straight-laced guy. He knew a guy named Herman, who was in another band, who was our drummer. When Blood Moon Rising came out, he was like, this is what I want to do. Hardcore Seven Dust fan. He joined, and then Doug Kirshner, who was our bass player, basically was like, he was done with original bands, and then he heard this and he was like, I really enjoy this and I'd love to come. And then that's how the band formed. And then we started playing shows about 6 months after that formation. I knew that if I had music going, the momentum and everything was already cushioning getting people in the group.
Yeah.
I knew that was more of an incentive for people to want to join and for me to find the right people, because they know what the sound is. And these guys really were the driving force to take our sound to the next place. They really helped me a lot.
Well, that's awesome though. That's really great. And are they all from Florida like you are, or no?
So Herman's from Alabama, Doug's from Long Island, and Matt's a local.
Okay.
And it's actually interesting because Matt is a doctor and actually did his residency in Birmingham, Alabama, where Herman was, but didn't know him at the time. And so we, most of the guys had been living in Florida for years. And then we're all locals, but we're just not, we weren't born, like some of the guys weren't born here.
Yeah.
I'm a local though.
Totally. So you say doctor, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I was
so
actually
Dr. Kern Rockstar. All right, I like that one.
and I was actually very close to attending PA school. So I was almost a mid-level provider. I'm an ex-medical person.
Oh, dang, that's really interesting.
So,
Two of you guys are.
yeah, kind
That's
of.
crazy.
I'm probably still gonna go back for a nursing degree, but
Well, you
we'll
might
see
as
what
well. You know,
happens.
never know. You know,
Yeah.
when the music's over, you might as well do something to keep yourself busy.
Honestly, it's the only job that I can still do music and like tour and stuff and still come back and
Yeah.
have a job. So
Have you ever thought about doing like traveling stuff like that too? Maybe like different cities you go to. I know you're talking about touring eventually.
Matt, say hi to Pete.
Matt, what's going on?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm in the middle of an interview with Pete and versus Anxiety. This is Matt Willie on the phone. We are just talking about you.
Oh, awesome. What's up, Pete?
Not much going on, Matt. How you doing, man?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, no
totally
problem.
Oh, well, I can't hear him, so. All right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can't.
Can't hear me because of the headphones.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can turn this on. I'll turn the monitor on. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know. I don't know.
I got a little bit of that.
Can you hear me now, Matt?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good, man. I love the music, by the way, too, man. She's the Blades, one of my new favorite songs of all time now.
Oh, sweet. Appreciate it.
We're just here chatting it up, Mental Health and everything else, talking about you guys and how you guys got started and everything else. So
Sweet. Well, I'll join in then.
definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead and stay on as long as you can, and we'll see where it goes.
But yeah. So that's okay. So you guys are formed. So where does it go from there, though? I mean, do you guys start doing a lot of shows and things like that, or do you a lot more fairs or anything like that?
Yeah. So the first show that we did was with the Lonely Ones in February of last year, and then a bunch of shows after that. And in between, we were writing for the new album, which was the one that you got, She's the Blade, which was Careful EP. And then
he said, Elizabeth, we get a new drop on Tuesday too for another song.
Oh yeah, this one, right? Yeah. So that's the next plans, and then we just recently got off a House of Blues gig that we did as a post competition thing. We got offered a show after that, and we did that with some great bands, and then we played a couple more after that. So we regularly play, we play probably twice a month.
Yeah.
But this album right here, we're 6 songs into it. We got 6 mixes back, and then we're gonna go back for another 6.
Okay.
This one we think is gonna be a really fun one, because this one is really us kind of finding our sound and really finding what we want to do and push the boundaries a little bit. So,
yeah, and with a lot of bands, that's what happens. Like some of the earlier stuff is different than when they mature.
Absolutely.
A lot of their sound twists from where it started, kind of thing. Like, if you think where Korn started, like Life is Peachy versus what some of the stuff they're putting out now it's way different sound wise, and you could see as it went through, as it matured differently and things like that too. And, Stain's the same way too. Like Break the Cycle was amazing. And then the sound started changing when they went to the other albums as they go forward. And, and the same thing with Metallica. Like I liked everything Metallica, and then Saint Anger was kind of like, like I had to rediscover them again, because I love Metallica. Destroy 'Em All was one of my favorite albums of all time.
Oh yeah.
So
how cool was Lowest and Me by Staind? So good, right?
Oh my God, I have it on repeat on my playlist too.
So good, man. Like it was like the old sound all over again.
It did, didn't it? It sounded just like their original stuff, It kind of reminded me of Mud Shovel a little bit. That kind of same elements of that are in there. I was like, whoa. Era. Yes, definitely.
Totally.
Definitely. And it's like like I said, same thing with Cold. They started out as like, if you think of their, what was the song thing? Just Got Wicked. If you compare it to where the Different Kind of Pain, the sound difference is a huge major difference between the two, because this one's a lot softer versus the normal kind of grittiness that Just Got Wicked had. And then if you put Stupid Girl right in the middle, they kind of went more like alternative kind of middle road kind of thing. And a lot of them, that's what they do. Like Rise Against, was it Give It All? If you compare it to where, like Tragedy Plus Time is at, the sound is astoundingly different. Well, not to say I didn't like it, but I love them. It's great songs, And it's okay. It happens. People mature over time. Their sound changes and things like that, and all that other kind of stuff. So, I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to. And like I said, when I discovered you guys, I was like, damn, all right, I like this a lot. Okay. And then, I've heard Skin, and then I went and started digging in deeper into the other tracks and seeing some other stuff in there. I was like, all right. And then when She's the Blade came out, I was like, yep, that's it. There's my song right there, man. I love it.
It's a fun one.
But so you were talking about touring. Okay, so here's a question for both of you guys. If you could open for any band, who would it be?
Matt, you can go ahead and you can go first.
All right, Matt, what do you think? Who would be your dream band to open up for all time?
I mean, probably the Goats, right? Metallica.
Definitely.
You know,
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. All right.
I mean, that'd probably be like, yeah. I mean, I think they're like one of the greatest metal bands of all time.
Oh
I mean,
no question, no argument at all here at all. I guarantee you right now. I can tell you right now, no argument whatsoever there.
I would say, man, I would probably say Tool.
Oh, there you go.
They're-
Yeah, see, listen, y'all lined up with Tool would be an amazing setup too.
a different band than Tool. I was gonna say that in a
Yeah.
second.
I would say either that or Nine Inch Nails, probably.
Ooh, 9 Inch Nails.
But I'm thinking in terms of like, I'm thinking in terms of bands that I love that I'd love to open up for.
Yeah, definitely. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm kind of thinking, but I'm also in the back of my mind, I'm like, who are the craziest fans that I'd want to play
Marilyn
for?
Manson, if you had to go crazy fans, you know.
God, man, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Rob Zombie's fans have to be pretty
Rob
intense
Zombie.
too, for
Yeah.
sure. I could
but
see that being a wicked show right there, especially Rob Zombie. Oh man, that place had to be lit up right there. Oh,
judging by what we're gonna sound like, it'll make sense to open for them.
yeah. See,
Make a lot of sense.
so yeah, that's you know, and I listen. I agree with Matt. I'd go with Metallica. Honestly, if I had a band, that's who I think I'd open up for because like there's just no topping them. I'm sorry, but that's it, man. You can give you those hair metal days too, you know, back in when it really was hard, you know. Oh God, that's it, dude. Tear up all. You just imagine the mosh pits that'd be created with that. Oh God.
Yeah.
You
man.
know.
What's great about what's Metallica? Like, I mean, these guys are still touring. They go out and they play for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
Still, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
pretty
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's oh God.
still going
And then the
for it.
touring and then being on the road and stuff like that, you know.
Avenged Sevenfold's another one that I'd like to
Ooh, yeah,
open up
see.
for.
I think I'll have to stick with Metallica or Seven Dust. Oh God, listen.
Yeah.
Seven
Oh,
Dust is my weakness altogether, man. I love Seven Dust. I've loved them since the beginning. I've loved them since the first album where Bitch came on it. Oh God, that's it. The voice, the vocals, man, it's just amazing.
yeah.
You know, and then when you really dig in it, you find out he used to be a gospel singer. I'm like, yep, that makes perfect sense now. So,
Yeah.
but that's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Matt. I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I was just kind of acknowledging.
Oh, okay. No, you got. I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting you off over there. But yeah. So you guys have any plans to go on tour anytime soon? You know, coming to Dallas maybe?
I told him
Ryan's like, I don't know.
no, honestly, like the first chance that we can get to tour, the bigger the fan base gets, and the more.
Oh, I'm sure it'll get bigger regardless.
The more people that start really getting into this, and the more people start really requesting it and stuff like that, we'll be out there as soon as we can. I would say a pipeline tour definitely to Texas would be something that we'd love.
Yeah, if you do make it to Dallas,
yeah,
outside ballroom, fantastic venue for y'all, dude.
Yeah, but I would say like the tri-state area, like Alabama, like Georgia, Alabama, Florida, or like getting out to Mississippi or like Missouri, like staying on that eastern coast just as a run is something that seems really, really probable. So,
yeah, like we were talking before we got on here. You were saying that it's just getting used to being on the tour and just being out on the road and stuff like that, because it's a whole nother experience. Like you leave home, you don't come home for a couple months because you're doing all these different tours and things like that. You know, and it's got to be like that, especially if you go to like Europe and stuff like that too. That's a whole nother continent you're on, and a whole different fan base and different rules to things and stuff like that. So
definitely.
So,
Absolutely.
But that's awesome though.
Yeah.
So you got any sneak peeks of anything for us coming up that we should know about? Anything you want to tell us about? Any shows coming up that you want to give a shout out to so people know where they check you out over there in the Florida area?
Absolutely. If anyone's watching, if anyone's going to be in the Sanford, Florida area, we're going to be at the Alley October 22nd 7th with Inside the Fire, which is going to be a Disturbed tribute band.
Ooh, okay,
Who's
okay.
awesome.
You said they're called Inside the Fire? Okay, I'm gonna check them out for sure.
So, yeah. They're going to be great. And Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's Inside the Fire, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Perfect. Yeah, those guys will be there, and it's going to be a super fun show. The only thing that I will tell people is we're already posting a little bit to just kind of get people ready for this next song on Tuesday. This is going to be a song that might bring you into the season that we're in right now.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be fast paced, and it's going to be definitely a little bit of a shock to the system from what you've heard from us. And this whole year is going to be filled with just a bunch of music, a bunch of fun, and just some really, really earwormy stuff. And we're gonna just feed you all year, man. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. So, do you have any plans when the new album's gonna fully drop, or is it just gonna be kind of like teasing us all the way through?
It's gonna come out like singles based. Just
okay.
We're gonna come out one at a time.
Yeah, we'll
just basically build up. Yeah, okay. That's how a lot of people are doing it now, though. So,
but it's gonna be pretty. It's never gonna be more than 2 months. It's gonna be like 6 to 8 weeks. You'll get a new song, and then you're gonna get a whole bunch of content in between, and a whole bunch of stuff to really bring you into the music. And then further along the line, we're probably gonna have some digital copies, and we're gonna definitely roll out the entire album at the end. So.
That sounds good then. I'm excited. I can't wait. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming and joining me today, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, dude, this has been great. When the album gets closer, if you want to come back again, for sure, you come back and tease us some more. It'd be definitely great to talk to you guys again.
Likewise. We love it, man.
Do you want to give everybody a shout out here while we're live here? Because this is live. Everybody can see you right now. It'll be all over YouTube and Oracles, and we're on the 365 radio as well.
So now is a bad time to get naked then?
Listen, YouTube might cancel us, but it's okay. Listen, man, I'm all about this. Let's go.
I mean, no one will see anything if you catch my drift on. Yeah. So yeah,
they're all gonna be like, "Can you believe what that guy did? He buried it all right there." I'm like, well, Howard Stern did it first. What's your point?
It can't be any crazier than that one time that dude got his face pissed on by that singer. That was pretty rock and roll. I mean, I must say that's something I have never seen in my entire life.
He's like, that's the first for me, man. It's probably the last right there.
Potential, which is a breath of fresh air compared to what we're seeing in the news with all this craziness and shit.
Oh my God, yes, man. With those school shootings and shit like that just keep going. It's so sad, man.
Yeah,
it's horrible to see that people are doing this, and then the one where the kid's dad bought him the gun with knowing his intent.
Man,
that's horrible. Like, you got to think, like, like his dad bought the gun, knowing this kid had the intentions, and then they want to blame, his mental health. Like, how do we know for sure that's what caused this kid to do that? Like, he had intentions, from what we were understanding, is that he had full intentions, knew exactly what he was going to do and things like that. So him trying to them trying to say it's mental health, again, gives it a bad rap, because it's like, well, just because he has mental health, he did these things. Not necessarily. Has anybody tested him to see if that's the case?
Yeah. Pretty horrifying, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it gets blown out of proportion. A lot of misinformation is given out about that kind of stuff, and people, they feed on that misinformation and don't seem to get that, it's not really the facts. So let's get all the facts before we start jumping to conclusions.
Definitely.
So,
I was gonna say shout out to Doug, who couldn't make it, and also Herman, and big shout out to Joan Martel, one of my good friends in Vermont. She had a death in the family, and she's working through it. And
I'm sorry to hear that, Joan.
So big shout out to her. Big shout out to all the Alive and Stone fans, everyone who I talk to all the time. And I know there's so many names I can't remember.
He's like, you put me on the spot. Like, damn it, here we go.
It's all good. They know it. We love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing with the DMs. And also, if one thing that I also wanted to mention while I'm here, if you ever want to listen to our music 24 hours before it comes out, go to www.aliveandstonemusic.com, and if you put your name in the email list, you not only can download any of our songs for free and it'll take your email list, but if you go on there and you put in your email list, we will send you the song 24 hours before it comes out, so you can hear it before everyone else, and you can be a VIP member. And we can't wait to just keep hanging out with you and having a good time. And
Definitely, man.
It's gonna be great.
Like I said, this has been great. I appreciate it. Like I said, man, this is awesome. We'll definitely have to do this again, and we'll touch base again for sure.
Yeah, totally, man.
All right, guys. You don't know where to find me, guys. I'm at YouTube at Pete vs. Anxiety. YouTube. I'm on Twitch. I'm on TikTok at Pete vs. Anxiety Pod. You can check out my audio podcast in case you missed this live. It will be on my audio podcast. We're on Spotify, pretty much everywhere except for Apple because they like to be difficult. But that's another story. We'll deal with them at a later time. I want to thank you again, Brian, for coming. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, this is a great time hanging out with you and everything like that. So,
yeah, totally, man. I love it.
All right, guys. This has been another exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety, the mental health podcast, breaking the stigma that mental health is not talked about enough. And as like I always say, guys, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. Your kind act could save somebody's life or even make them even happier. You know what I mean? All right, guys. Y'all have a great one. Thanks, Brian.